Style play is dead, clips are fuel, and the frontier is full. Welcome to the frontier, new and returning pilots, where we've got a new resurgence of pilots grading to the frontier, meaning the frontier is no longer an empty limbo of Gmod cheaters and... Now let's get to the real meat of this guide. You want to get better, maybe even play a little flashy, to release your inner Kraber King. Well, first, you will need to pick your style weapon of choice, and thankfully Titanfall 2 has plenty of those. Let me give you the rundown. The EPG, a rocket launcher that fires blue balls of death. Splash damage is puny, and only works against pilots who are role-playing as grunts. Against experienced pilots, you must lead your shots and go for direct hits. The softball, much like the EPG, except you fire balls with a trail of smoke. Incredible. Except you have a much higher rate of fire at the cost of direct hits having a delay to kill and having to reload every individual nade. The Cold War, you charge it up and pray all 4 blue balls hit the pilot because they do BABY damage. And lastly, the SMH, because I'll be shaking my fucking head if you get killed by this. Splash damage does BABY damage. However, 2 rockets is all that's needed to put down a pilot, so you just gotta lead your shots. Shotguns and drill star. The Mastiff, aka the Mad Dog, unleashed! The Mastiff shares the same projectile speed as the EPG. While shotguns do have the advantage at close range, you can tighten your shots by aiming down the sight, making the Mastiff unleashed at mid-range engagements. The pellets also get significantly larger the further they go, but burn out eventually. The Mozambeast. You thought Apex's Mozambique with hammer points was nice? See me in Titanfall 2. 3 pellets that are actually close together, 8 rounds that can be reloaded at once, and just like the Mastiff, the pellets get bigger the farther away they get, but eventually they do fizz out. Aiming down the sights is not recommended, as shots tend to veer off to the side when in ADS, but really, who needs to aim down the sights with the Mozambeast? The L-Star, red balls of death. Projectiles fire much slower compared to Apex's counterpart. However, 3 hits and a pilot is down. Recommended for anyone who wants a full auto option. However, be warned, as it can actually overheat rather fast. The suppressed RE45. If used as a secondary, it's actually not that bad, but if used as a primary, you better be confident in hitting every single shot to frag a pilot. Maximum damage of 15 up close, the same damage where the car can do 25. Pilots have 100 health in vanilla, so use this if you really want to flex on players because they beefed and you didn't. The suppressed wingman. Actually, do not use this. I'm not even joking. Somehow, it's worse than the RE45 suppressed. So, don't be surprised if your shots literally don't do anything. The Wingman Elite. It's called Elite for a reason. Only the elite of players can use this thing. It's not easy to use, having the smallest but fastest projectile to hit, but damn is it satisfying to use. It is also perfectly accurate from the hip, so ADS should really only be used as a way to zoom in, rather than making your shots more accurate. 1 headshot can put down a pilot at any distance, 2 in close to mid-range, and 3 if you're too far away. If anybody complains about you using the Wingman Elite, or accuses you of cheating, you know you've made it far in the game. Sniper. The DMR. Alright, I'm gonna go on a whim here. The DMR actually might as well be the most unstylish style weapon that you can use. However, it still takes precision, I guess. But there's really only 2 ways to use this. The unstylish way and the stylish way. So if you want to use it stylishly, don't camp on rooftops, don't take up high ground, don't head glitch, don't hide behind an A wall, and you're using it stylishly. Now, moving on. The double take. Actually, it's more like a triple take. There is an invisible projectile between the two visible ones, and with a faster firing speed, it makes it significantly easier to use than, say, the Kraber. But you may as well use it for close quarters if only the default sight wasn't so zoomed in. The Kraber, the most stylish of all weapons in Titanfall 2. While people will complain because they believe it is unfair that a gun can one-shot you from shooting them in the toe, this obviously discards the fact that the car can mow you down in less than a second. This also discards how hard to use the Kraber actually is, with ADS being off-center if you move in the movement game. Because of this, you must know where the center of your screen is at all times. This usually isn't an issue for most guns, as it is encouraged to hip fire anyway in Titanfall. However, the Kraber's no-scope is mostly up to RNG, with the spread of the RNG being lessened if you're on the ground and increased if you're up in the air. Only way to decrease it is if you crouch in the air. All of this combined with the Kraber's slow rate of fire makes it where you must master the game's movement to do anything other than just drop one guy and then immediately die to the next guy that shows up, like if you just had spy syndrome. Now that you know what guns are style play guns in Titanfall, now you gotta learn how to play the game stylishly. Here's what you gotta first learn in Titanfall 2. Movement. This is the utmost important thing you got to remember when playing Titanfall. You can have the best aim in the world, but that won't stop you from getting outplayed by one Sachi boy. So exactly what does great movement look like in Titanfall 2? Well, there's certainly a lot of stuff, but what great movement doesn't look like is just sprinting around and sticking onto the ground and staying on rooftops. Where you don't want to be especially is on the ground in Titanfall. That is where you can get crushed, or blown up, or graph start, or executed. Yeah, you simply just don't want to be that one guy on the roof. Any competent player knows their options. So, what can you do to move fast and still use it to your advantage in a fight? Well, here are some important movement techniques you can use in combat. Some with certain niches, and some not so niche. Sliding. To perform a slide, all you gotta do is hold your sprint button and then start holding your crouch key. Amazing. It is recommended that you put your crouch key onto hold instead of toggle, so that you have control of when you come out of the slide or not. It can be useful to use it as a boost in a fight. However, that is not the only thing sliding can do. Slide hopping can be performed to gain and maintain momentum from any speed that you have gained, while holding your crouch key to maintain your slide at all time and strafing with your A and D keys, moving your mouse in a steady manner in their respective directions. You can see that you're gaining momentum. Use this as a means to get around open areas, or what I'll get into later, to chain movement techniques into each other. Wall running, while it seems like a simple mechanic at first, you just go up to the wall and jump on it and then BOOM! You're wall running. You can keep running on the wall, however, you must remember that you can only run on the same angle of the wall for 1.75 seconds. Notice how I said angle and not wall. You can't run on the same angle unless you activate cheats. But we all know you'd still be a shit ass anyway if you install cheats. But you can also grab onto the wall again if you touch it from a lower point than you were previously. However, you do lose any momentum you had by running on walls. And if you wall run into another wall too fast, and if you're using a scoped weapon, the scope will massively sway off center. However, if you want to maintain your momentum from chaining wall runs, you gotta be able to bounce off of it instantly to result in a wall kick. This lets you gain or maintain your momentum rather than losing it all in one puny sprint on a wall. If you don't want to maintain momentum because it's too much work, wall running with stim is much more faster than stimming and sprinting. Holding your A or D key and smoothly looking towards their respective directions will allow you to strafe in the air. But unlike, say, Team Fortress 2, the air acceleration is much lower, and thus you'll be moving in that direction much more slowly, and thus harder to air strafe into sharper angles. However, for my fellow Northstar client enjoyers, some servers have the air acceleration values upped to feel akin to source games like Team Fortress. Use this to your advantage. You can strafe at tighter angles and even outsmart overzealous players believing you'll go in one direction, but then quickly jump into the other direction. A niche little movement technique that allows you to get an initial boost. Just throw down a graph star, slide in, and jump, and if timed right, you can get a huge boost. Possibly the most used tactical in Titanfall 2. An amped version of Pathfinder's grappling hook with farther range and a lot more faster airspeed. You could use it to get back onto a wall or to get onto high ground, but why do that when you can fucking sling yourself to the other side of the map? Being able to string these movements together can make getting to fights or flipping a fight into your own advantage a reality. Especially for Kraber players, as their weapon promotes them having to dodge enemy fire while rechambering their gun. So wall run, grapple sling, slide hop, all over the battlefield, chaining together wall runs and slide hops into a fight. Maybe even slingshots to see the entire battlefield and snipe someone down. Use these options to style on some players. Overall, this isn't a movement guide. However, I hope seeing these mechanics in action allows for players to know the movement options they have instead of sprinting around grunt style. If you want to learn more about movement options like lurchless wall jumping or strafing or even tap strafing, check out byronato's vid on the ultimate movement guide to Titanfall 2. When going for style play, you must remember that you're going for style. So you must go for the most YOLO bullshit the Frontier has ever seen. I'm talking John Satchels, pulse blade frags from more than pissing distance, 360 no scopes and quick scope flicks. Go for tactics that feel like they shouldn't work, but damn do they look sick. The only way Titanfall 2 can ever become boring is if you play it boring. Now you have to remember that even if you're getting stomped at first, every player has gone through it. The question is, where's your motivation? See, the secret to style play isn't how fast you can get or how good you can get. It's a mindset. If you had more fun, you won. You don't play to win, you play for clips and to have fun. Maybe even influence some matches. The heart of style play is in the creativity of the player. You want to eject and snipe someone down? Go for it. You want to go for something unconventional, like suppressed RE45 only and see how many kills you can get with it? You're the man. Ricochet kills? Now that's smoking sexy style. At the moment, vanilla Titanfall 2 still is a little buggy. Pilots versus pilots doesn't work properly, so if you are interested in strict PvP action, go check out Northstar client servers. At first, there may be a lot of 24/7 glitch server limbos, however, there are a few servers that can really stick out really well, and with more players, I hope it changes that. As for other game modes in Northstar client, a couple allow for extreme style play. Most notably should be Unholy Trinity, Sticks and Stones, Funkhead's Rebalance server, and any server with air excel increased, in which between you and me, I feel like should be the standard. Now go on out there and hit some fat clips.